It's summertime, but it's never too early to think about Halloween. You know, it's
Never.
my
Oh, yes.
absolute favorite holiday. I love Halloween. And one of the best things for Halloween you have to do is go to Erebus.
Yes.
We're in Kego. We see the spotlight every night. It is by far one of the best haunted houses in the country. And the brains behind this haunted house, Ed Terebus, with us here. He's a co-owner for the Erebus Haunted Attraction. Great to have you with us, Ed.
Good to be here. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. So how did you even start this?
Believe it or not, it's me and my brother that are owners of the place. And my brother is 10 years older than I am. And at the time, he was 28 years old. And he just got laid off from Ford's. And he was working with the JCs prior to that. And he just said, I'm going to build a haunted house.
I love your brother.
I was 18 at the time. I go, sounds like a good idea to me. So we actually did a haunted house. We set up in front of Kmart's parking lot. The first haunted house was 1,200 square feet. And the problem was it was a prefab building. We built in his backyard. And we were set up in a low part of the rain. The customers were walking through like 3-4 inches of water. Ultimately, that was a bad idea. We decided to go bigger and better. So we moved to mobile home trailers. So we went from 1,200 square feet to 2,800 square feet. The third year, we were 3,500 square feet. We ran that for like 13 years. And then we bought bigger trailers, which were 14 foot wide by 70 foot long. We had 10 of those. We donated the old unit to a church for $1. And then they used that for a haunted house. And then that big unit, we used that for 7 years. But then the cost of storing it, moving it, all the other stuff was just astronomical. And we go, we could buy a building for that. So we sold that unit. I sold my house. My brother remortgaged his, and we bought the building in Pontiac in '98 and opened that in 2000. So we've been doing haunted houses now for over 40 years.
Wow. It's the story behind it that people don't realize. You really put a lot of trust in you and your brother in making this work.
Oh, when you sell your house and you sell everything else you got to make it work, it's kind of like you sailed across the ocean, you burned the boat, and you said, there's no turn. It's either do or die, and there's no turning back, And so since then, it's really been pretty successful from here on out, right? Oh, you know what? Yes. The first 20 years, it was a hobby. The last 20 years, it was our career.
So with that, too, Ed, if I can ask you, what happens the other 11 months out of the year?
We get ready for next year. So right now we got a couple things happening. We're actually building 2 new sections in a haunted house. So we're preparing for that. We also do escape rooms. We also do, we're getting ready. We teamed up with a gentleman, Steve Ship, and we're actually building oddities and curiosity museum next door to Erebus called Mythos. So, we're always busy over here.
And so with that as well, can you, the escape room, is that open right now?
Yes, they are open Thursday through Saturday, and we have 5 escape rooms.
Is it still popular? Because it seems like a few years ago those were all the rage, and now you don't really hear much about them.
You know what? They obviously, because of the pandemic, they ramped down, but now they're ramping back up. And again, it's a great family corporate event. It's a non-drinking event. Believe it or not, if you drink, it's a deficit to working the game because you got to think outside the box and do different things. For us, we're actually like if you ever saw a movie Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
yeah,
they put memories in your head and they said, why just be you when you can be a secret agent? We kind of took that philosophy on. So why just be you when you can be a escape artist, escape out of prison? You can be a top cop, solve the crime. You can be Indiana Jones, find the Temple of Doom kind of thing. So we kind of took on that thing. So the rooms are very themed out. Very interactive, and right now we got like 5 stars across the board on these things.
I would think it's also a really good team building thing to do for offices because so many of their employees have been remote. It's a good way to bring them together and try to get them to work together but have fun.
And you know what? And you're also in there just by yourself. So there's nobody else in there except for your team, your family, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I did one of those when they first came out, and I will say we had like homicide detectives from Detroit. I was an investigative reporter. We had engineers, some other people, and we couldn't escape. We were like, this is pitiful.
You know what? And again, everything's different. And then the first time you do it, it's a little difficult because you're overwhelmed by the information. The second time you do it, you kind of understand where the pieces go together, and you're like 10 times better the second time. We've had people that were college graduates, and they were all from a fraternity, and now they're all living in different states. All these guys come together, and they pick a state, a city, and they hit the escape rooms. That was actually one of our best teams. That were this group of guys that all flew in from different states, and they actually beat the game by, God, I think they had like 20 minutes to spare.
Wow. Ed Terebus with us here on the MegaCast. He's the co-owner for Erebus Haunted House in Pontiac. And with that, Ed, how has the last year been for you and your team?
Last year was a little taxing. I mean, just because of the COVID, the restrictions, the dilemmas that we faced, between losing power and just a whole bunch of other things that happened last year. This year, I'm looking forward to it.
Let's when you go to a haunted house, you could not be socially distanced. Someone's jumping on someone, because they're jumping on it. You got to grab the person ahead of you.
It's difficult, but you're not being socially distanced with the group that you're with, which hopefully you're with them all the time anyhow. So I would think that that's okay if you're not socially distanced with those people.
So with that, again, going forward, do you anticipate this is going to be a bigger, better year?
I think this is going to be a great year. I think people are just dying to get out and do things. They'll lift the restrictions. We'll still play it safe. Last year we had we had 0 cases of COVID over here. We had our healthiest year ever, because normally the actors come up with they call it the Erebus cough. The sniffles, that kind of stuff. There's always a big jar of cough drops upstairs. We didn't even have to have that last year. So we had a very healthy year last year. And I think some of the things that we implemented last year, I think we're going to keep on board just to keep everybody healthy and safe.
What were some of those things? Just
the sanitation stations. I mean, outside, maybe some of the temporary masks that might be behind a mask. So, as you guys are taking off your mask, we're going to be putting our mask on over here.
How do you come up with new themes for the haunted house?
You know what? Everywhere and anywhere. It could be a movie. Good example. One time we had the old trailer unit. It rained all day long. Nobody came to the haunted house, and there was a big puddle next to the building. And I'm like, "Come on, let's shut this thing down." And Jim goes, "Hey, look at this! Look at this! Look at this!" And this puddle reflected the side of the building, and it looked like there was a 20-foot hole in the parking lot. I went, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" And we giggled like little girls looking at this little puddle. And we ended up, we invented what you now call the bottomless pit. So we took that thing and we found out, as we put this mirror on the floor to reflect, what was there, we couldn't have a regular light source because that gave away the illusion. So we ended up having to, figure out that you needed to have a phosphorescent light source in there to reflect that, to give you the depth of 20, 30 feet. And, so simple as a puddle came up with an idea. And that's been a staple in the haunted house, and it's been copied by many other haunted houses. And it's a huge illusion, and it's very cool.
Pontiac, downtown Pontiac seems to be changing right now, hoping that it starts to pick up and more businesses, start to reopen in the downtown area. At one point in time, I think I saw an article, you guys were considering selling one of the properties. Is that off the shelf now?
You know what? We had a gentleman that was interested and put an offer in on us, and, we said, sure. And for whatever reasons, he backed out. So that's why it was up for sale. It was a one-time kind of deal thing, and I guess if somebody's interested, everything's always for sale at a certain point. But at this point forward, we're moving forward 100%, and we got some great ideas. We're spending lots of money, so at this point, I don't see it being disappearing anytime soon.
Yeah, where do you guys get all of your props? Is there a company that makes all of them, or do you make some locally as well?
both. I mean, there's companies that sell it. There's trade shows for the haunted house. You go and see the greatest and wildest things. But Michigan used to be, is probably still one of the top. It was the haunted house capital of the world, or haunted attraction capital of the world. Within 50 miles of us, in a radius, there was anywhere from 60 to 100 other attractions.
Wow. Which
nobody had that. So unfortunately, if you saw something really cool at the trade show, you couldn't buy it because 25 other guys would have it. So we were actually forced to innovate and cultivate and make all these things that nobody else had. So, we're actually, I'd call ourselves, trying to think of the word here, innovators to the haunted house industry. We created the bottomless pit, the spiked wall, the spiked spindle, the bottomless pit, the buried alive, the swamp. I mean, the swamp was something that one of the guys drew a picture of people walking through the swamp. It's got to be a great idea. But how do you create a swamp? I mean, first you're walking through water, you have to create resistance. How do you create resistance? So we created airbags. You had to push your way through these airbags to create resistance. And how do you create the water look effect? So if you ever went to a rock concert and saw like the lasers in the skies and they make like a cloud effect, we took the lasers and we brought them low. So the swirls gave you the murky water effect. And then put some foam on the floor, and the foam gave you the feel of walking in mud. So you got that, and it's pulling your feet out of the mud kind of feel. So you gotta dismantle things and remantle them to the point where walking through water but not getting wet kind of thing. You can understand?
Tyler and I are both looking at one another because we've been there. We're like, yeah,
That's
we remember
exactly
that, right? And for so many of us with COVID, it's been about thinking outside of the box. And life is not the way we used to do it, but it seems like you guys have been thinking outside the box for the past 20 years.
Yeah, like 40 years, but yeah. But that's the beautiful thing about, I think our job is I'm never creating the same thing. We're always building something different. This year we got Miss Patty meat pies coming. So you have to come out and try one of the meat pies and experience what we got going on the inside. But we have a whole bunch of things happening over here. It's pretty exciting.
So with that, Ed, when is the museum going to be opening?
Museum should be opening, we're shooting for the beginning of September.
How are you on the employee front? Or is your business so unique, people want to come work there?
You know what? People really, it's a family. In fact, we were unable to have our corporate thank you party. So that's coming up pretty soon over here, where we'll give away prizes and trophies and awards for all the guys that worked last year. We got just a great group of people over here that have been working with us for years, many of them. And again, it seems like a lifespan of an actor is approximately 5 years. But, over here, I've got people that have been working here for over 10 years now, 12 years. And, but they keep coming back. It's just, it's different because as soon as you get to be whoever you want to be, you could be if you want to be a superhero, you can be a superhero. Nobody's going to criticize you or condemn you. You put the outfit on and go, da-da, here I am, But over here, we're a little creepier and scarier, and people love it.
I love that. And I just know for us, we do the neighborhood display every year, and just trying to come up with something new every year to be engaging as well. So I couldn't imagine doing it to the scale of what you and your brother and your entire team does. It's always amazing. And there may be a lot of other events, but nothing beats going to Erebus. You have to do Erebus. Everyone knows that it's on your Halloween must see event. You do the corn maze, you do the hayride, but you have to do Erebus.
And if you see the searchlights on, we're open.
We see them. We see them. Hey, Ed, how can people get tickets to the escape room? Are they online?
They are online at erebusescape.com.
Ed Terebus with us here on the MegaCast. He's the co-owner for Erebus Haunted Attraction Yeah, it's not Halloween, not even officially summer yet, but they're already thinking about Halloween, but other great things going on there at the Erebus location right there in downtown Pontiac. Ed, it's been great having you.
Thank you very much. And for more information, you go to hauntedpontiac.com, and tickets will go on sale probably within the week here.
Wow. See, look at that. Hey, you guys, thank you guys for being our scary people for Halloween, terrorizing all of us.
In a good way.
But it's been 20 years of, excitement. So thank you for getting into this business and staying in it too, because you are definitely one of the best in the nation.
Well, thank you for coming out and enjoying what we do.